Today I'm sharing lessons from my own personal entrepreneurial journey from over the last 4 years that has brought me to this moment right now where I am scaling my online business to 7 figures. Yes. So these lessons include some of the things that you don't need to do and what you should do instead, and some of the shifts in strategy and mindset that have been totally necessary in order to sustain and support real expansion in my business and in my life, right? So, we've just come off the back of another launch for the Profitable Yoga Teacher Program. We've welcomed 80 yoga teachers into the program, and the revenue, right? The revenue, the income from that launch combined with the passive income. I don't really like to use that word passive because it never really is passive, but let's say revenue income from evergreen courses, such as our Super Yogi course, actually resulted in a 200K month last month. Okay, so October was a $200,000 month for us in Digital Yoga Academy, which is incredible, right? It's incredible. The last 3 launches for the Profitable Yoga Teacher Program have been 6-figure launches, and each time the numbers are steadily increasing with each launch. And now we're on track to reach 7 figures. Okay, we're scaling, which means we're working towards that number right now. And this is incredible. As I say, it's incredible. And I have to admit that I'm not always comfortable throwing out numbers to launches for a few reasons. Okay, now I know that a few years ago, when I would hear those big numbers, when I would hear people talk about 6-figure launches and 7 figures and all of this, I would get really excited about the potential for my own business. But I would also look at my own business and just wonder, like, how am I going to get there? Like, is that really possible for me? And so I would start to doubt myself a bit. I'd doubt myself a lot, actually, when I would hear numbers like that. So I just want to remind you that, I've been at this for a long time now. I've been at this for 4 years for Digital Yoga Academy. And also, being a business owner for my other business, Good Yoga Life. You can't compare your online journey today where my business is now, okay? We're likely on different journeys. We're likely, at different stages of that journey. And we all have very different life experiences, and everyone does this differently, right? Sometimes people will take, a lot longer to get there. Sometimes it takes a shorter amount of time to get there. So just remember, it takes time. It takes time, and obviously it doesn't happen by luck. This stuff doesn't happen by luck, guys. Not only do I think that it takes time to get there, but I also think that it takes a lot of long-term strategic planning. And it's going to take some trial and error along the way as well. Like, you can have a step-by-step plan, sure, but it's going to take some trial and error, and it's going to take some other elements to get there as well, which I'm going to talk about today. Okay, some of these lessons, some of these things that I've learned along the way. So, when I did my first launch for the Profitable Yoga Teacher Program in 2018, that was a 30K launch. And this was after many failed and smaller launches of other courses. Okay, this was very much in my experimentation phase at the very start of my journey. And, when I had that first 30K launch, I was just as excited then as I was for having a 200K month last month, because the mindset is still the same. I'm still thinking, wow, my students, my community want my programs. They love what I'm doing. This is actually working. I'm actually cracking a code here. And so that excitement still feels the same. So, whether you are growing or scaling, whether you're growing to 5 figures or you're scaling to 6 figures or 7 figures, whatever it is, don't fear those words. There really isn't anything to feel triggered about. And if you are feeling triggered, and do share with me if you are, but if you are feeling triggered when I say 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, what that's doing is it's showing you that there's some work to do around your money mindset, and that's okay. Like, that's part of being an entrepreneur, right? It's part of being an entrepreneur. Like, I had to do that work too. I had to do the work, and I still am. I'm still continuing to do the work because, as I said, I also once wondered if that was in reach for me, if that was possible for me. And you have to remember that you are in business, right? You are running a business, and businesses, what do? What do businesses do? They make money. Or they're supposed to do anyway. They're supposed to make money. So I really invite you to embrace those words, 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures. Whatever your financial goal is, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but embrace money coming into your business. Like, that is why you are in business, right? The more that money you can make, the more you can build your energetic money reserves, the more impact you can make. And you have to remember that. So there's some key lessons I want to outline today. And you'll notice that everything that I share today is not just about having, the best marketing strategies for your content, right? Or the best, strategies for your messaging or your emails or social or, launch strategies. And not just about that. It's also the energy that goes behind those strategies and the mindset that drives them forward, like this energetic component that combines, the masculine with the feminine, is really what's going to support expansion in your business. Okay, so this isn't just the mindset of how you approach strategies in your business. Really, it's the energy that you embody, that is you being in your power, like owning your space. And so this definitely is, something that I did not appreciate when I first started out. I thought, especially coming from a corporate marketing background, I thought that, it was about the best strategies. Yeah, so as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, not as an employee, but as an entrepreneur, there is some deep inner work that must be done. And this is work that, I've done with my own coaches, my coaches and mentors who have put a mirror up to show me what needs to be seen, so that I could make the shifts that I needed to make in order, to embody, in order to embrace this powerful expansion and this journey of expansion that I've been on. And so that's really what it's about. It's been one of the biggest lessons for me. And yeah, it's powerful. It's very, very powerful when you embrace that. The biggest lesson that I've had over the last 4 years, working specifically on growing an online business that's now had those multiple 6-figure launches. It didn't start out that way, guys. My very first launch, and I've talked about this many times, but my very first launch was 0, a big fat 0, okay? I've launched again and again and again and again since then. I have had so much experience in this now. And, you have to embrace every single launch and be grateful for every single launch and every single result and experience that you gain from it. This lesson, this biggest lesson that I've had with this is actually stretching your financial goal and planning around those stretched financial goals. Okay, so here's what I mean by this. A few years ago, my goal was to make 100K that year. Okay, and if you'd have told me back then that I would have just had a 200K month and be on my way to seven figures, $1 million, right? My mind would have been blown because my goal was 100K for the year. And at the time, I had to stretch my mind to believe that that was possible for me. I had to stretch my mind to believe that was possible for me. And so that's what this first lesson is all about, really. It's not just expanding your capacity to believe what's possible, because that's actually how you rise to that level, okay? But also to stretch the financial goal that you have for your business. So the year that I had a goal of 100K, I actually made 110K. Now imagine if I had stretched that financial goal from the beginning to say that I want to make 200K this year. So this is about allowing yourself to dream bigger than what you initially think is possible. And right now, you might not be thinking that's possible. But if it's possible for me, then it's possible for you. Like, I don't have some superpower that just makes it possible for me. It's really about surrounding yourself with the energy of what's possible. And for me, that meant being in programs and masterminds where I'm surrounded by that powerful energy of what's possible in business. And energy moves, right? Energy transmits. So breaking through the beliefs and the stories of stretched financial goals being wrong or feeling shame or guilt around making money, all of that is just keeping you from being in your full expansion. And actually, when we're doing this, we're unintentionally creating a ceiling, right, on what is possible. And I'll talk more on that in a moment. But as I said, like, this is about expanding to the levels that we think is possible and doing the work and being in the containers that allow and encourage that expansion and removing the blocks and guilt and shame around that expansion, right? And this has been a huge lesson for me, a major lesson for me. And it's a lesson that's allowed me to stretch my financial goals. So if you're telling yourself that it's impossible to generate a specific level of income, or, if you do this, you're going to feel overwhelmed, then, what you do or the energy you're putting out there, the energetic field is going to reflect that. Okay, it's going to reflect it. So, we know that our thoughts create actions and behaviors. We know about energy. So whatever we think is possible, we're only ever going to be able to expand to that degree. Sometimes we just have to see our business in this sense, right? We don't talk about business enough in this sense, the energetics around it. But we should. We should. We'll only do the work, or you will only do the work and take the actions and show up to that level of that degree that you are setting yourself. And so, this isn't about making money just for the sake of making money. Like, this isn't just about like plucking a number out of thin air and saying, oh, that's what I want to make this year. That's not what this is about. Like, this is about healing your relationship with money, okay? And really understanding that money is an expander and it allows you to do more in the world. So this lesson that I've learned, as I've healed my own relationship with money, is really to expand what I believe is possible. And we were talking about this week, actually, in the coaching session that I did yesterday with the Profitable Yoga Teacher students. We were talking about money mindset. The whole session was on that. So important, so important. So, there can be so much resistance, and sometimes we don't even see it in ourselves. Sometimes it takes someone else to point it out for you. And, that's what it's taken with me personally. I had money stories that were holding me back, that it took working with coaches to actually see what those were and how it was actually showing up in my business and how it was actually holding me back. Okay, so instead of setting, I'm talking about stretched financial goals here. So we'll go back to that. What I want to encourage you here is, instead of setting a financial goal and, setting your sights on, say, like me, for instance, I was setting on my sights on making 100K. I'm setting my sights higher now. And in doing so, I'm taking up more space. Like I'm expanding more to get there. You need to literally be setting your sights higher and setting higher financial goals. And of course, this doesn't come without a plan. Okay, so it's the energy that we talked about as a result of healing your money stories, doing that work so that you can be in that energetic field of expansion. But it's also the plan and the strategy, the structure, the team, the automation that goes behind everything to actually deliver the plans. So if you're a new yoga teacher, and let's say that you are setting your sights on, getting a couple of students and you're telling yourself that you want to do this slowly, or maybe you're saying, I want to get to 1K this month. And then once I've done that, then I'm going to get to 2K months, or, I want to do this, and you're just taking really small incremental steps, then probably that's what you'll achieve. Okay, because you only cap yourself around the business that you're creating and the plan that you're laying out. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you not just raise the bar and go bigger? Why wouldn't you do that? And you may not reach that higher target. You might not reach it first time, but then you'll go again and you'll go again and you'll try to hit it again. And you're going to be hitting higher targets in your business just because you've set your sights higher. And you're going to be attempting more. You'll be putting more out there. You'll be more visible. You'll be making more connections. You'll be having more conversations because you've set the bar higher. Okay? There's magic in that. There's real magic in that. So one really important thing to remember here when we are stretching our financial goals, when we are setting the bar higher, one really important thing to mention here is to not be attached to the outcome. Okay, even though we're setting the bar higher, it doesn't mean that we need to be attached to the outcome. Because the outcome, i.e., your sales, your income, the number of students that have come into your courses and programs, it's not related to your value or your worth as a person or a business owner. It's not related to it at all. That's super important to keep that in mind, okay? Because let me give you an example. Last month, the launch that we had last month, which made up some of that income of our 200K month, that launch did not meet my stretched financial goal that I had, that was, me raising the bar. It didn't meet it. My goal was actually a lot higher. And that's okay. That's totally okay. I am okay with that because I am not attached to that. I'm committed. This is the difference. I'm committed to the outcome in terms of showing up, in terms of doing the launch, in terms of being visible, in terms of telling my community about my program, in terms of selling, but I am not attached to the end result, like the number of people, the number of students that come in and the sales, the income that is being generated. There is a difference there, okay? Because the reason there's a difference there is I am trusting that I've done all the work, right? I've done the work, the energetic work and the strategy work. I've done it to get the results. And that is the energy that I'm going to embody when I go into the launch. So, when you are attached to the outcome, okay, I have to get this number, there's desperation, right? There's neediness. There's the energy of neediness and desperation that comes with that, and your community can feel it. So a really important thing is to be committed to the outcome, okay, committed to doing the work, to get there. have the belief and make the decision that you're doing this, that you're showing up, but do not be attached. So important, so important. So one thing to have a think about here is, ask yourself, like, who do I need to be? If I was making 10K this month, or if I was having a 100K month, who do I need to be? Like, what would I need to be doing in my business? Yeah? How do I need to be showing up? What energy am I embodying? And, tap into that. Really tap into the energy of the final results that you are working to. Really anchor into it. And then, you'll do the work. Like, you'll do the work to show up. Like, we're not just leaving it up to the universe and being like, okay, I'm going to have a 100K launch, but then not really having an idea of how you're going to get there. You need to have a plan. You need to know your numbers, and you need to know what you're selling. Okay. So all of that is so important. That's been, one of the biggest lessons for me really is this energy that I'm bringing to the table when I do this, right? So lesson number 2, let's move on. Let's move on to lesson number 2. And lesson number 2 is actually to create and sell more offerings. Okay, so if you want to make more sales, you need to sell more. Yeah, so I invite you to really just look at your business model. Look at your offerings, your product suite. Okay, I teach you all about this in my programs. But look at them. Look at what you're offering. Look at what you're creating and offering and selling. And are you actually doing enough? Like, are you offering and selling enough? Because, you might actually be operating, or, you might have a business model that's actually bringing a cap. You're capping your potential, let's say. So, if you are just offering online classes, or if you're just offering one-to-one private sessions, or you launch a 6-week course, let's say, but you launch it once a quarter, your revenue is capped. Okay, it's capped. And it actually doesn't matter what other kind of energy work you're doing, or whatever it is you think will get you to the next level, or who you're hiring, or how you're growing your community. You're just capped. You're capped if that's all you're offering. Like, if I was just offering my Super Yogi course, there's no way that I'll be making the amount of money that I currently am. There's no way. So you have to be able to innovate. You have to be able to look at your offerings, look at your product suite, and create and sell. Create offers that your community actually wants, and then show up to sell them. And, make sure that there's a pathway in your business for your students to continue to work with you and to continue to evolve with you. And of course, there's a pricing element that's involved here as well, like strategically pricing your offerings so that you can almost reverse engineer everything. And going back to, our stretched goal, which was lesson number 1, if you want to make 200K this month, like, what do you need to do, and what do you need to sell, and what are the price points of those offerings, and how many of each do you need to sell? Yeah, that's the kind of plan that you need to have for this. Be really intentional about what you're creating and what you're selling each month, and know what that number is. So this has been a lesson for me. I need to look at it's required me over the last 4 years to really look at my offerings and to truly understand what it is that I'm putting out there, and to know my numbers. So, I know part of the issue here for you guys, or what I hear from my community, from you guys, when it comes to selling, is this discomfort that comes with selling, right? And my main advice for you with this is you have to change the way you think about sales. So instead of thinking, about when you're selling, or it feels salesy or icky, instead of thinking that, because that is actually just a thought that's in your head, instead of thinking that, change the narrative. Change the narrative to, you are serving your students. It really is as simple as that. You're serving your students. Remember that the thing that you're selling is actually solving a problem for your students. So when you show up to sell, all you're really doing is you're reminding your students where and how they can learn about how to improve their health or their mindset or change, the quality of their life through what you have to offer, i.e., you are serving them. Selling is really serving. And when you stop selling, okay, when you stop showing up to sell your offerings, you're actually doing your students a disservice, really, because they're there in your community right now, because they relate to you, they resonate with you, they want to know what you have for them that can help them. They actually want to know. So, I really encourage you to shift your focus from, how can I sell this offer, to what do my students need right now? Like, your people are real people. Like, they require solutions to their own challenges and problems. So, if you're showing up and you're just fixated on the fact that you've got to make extra 2K this month to pay the bills, then your students, they're not going to feel valued and heard and understood by you, because you're showing up with a different kind of energy. So, they're going to feel that scarcity, like they're going to feel the self-doubt that you're showing up with. So it's really important, guys. It's important for you to practice coming from this place of service and to detach your value and your worth and your credibility from that outcome. Remember, I've already spoken about that. Detaching yourself from the outcome. The results that you have in your business are not related to your worth, to your value, that you're putting out there in the world. So be committed to doing the work to get the results, but don't be attached to that final outcome. It's really important. Like, this is how you're going to allow your best energy to come forward. It's how you're going to continually create those offerings and sell those offerings, which is lesson number 2, which is what I'm talking about right now. I think going back to, looking over, reflecting over the last 4 years, like, I've created and I've launched so many different things, so many different courses, programs, memberships. It's really evolved. It's changed a lot. My business model has changed a lot over the years. And, it's brought me to where I am now, which is delivering, short courses, evergreen courses that students can enroll on day in, day out, to delivering group coaching programs, one-to-one coaching, and masterminds. And so there's a clear, thought out, strategic pathway for my students, for you guys, to work with me and Digital Yoga Academy. Now, it didn't start out like that, that it didn't. And that's why it's a lesson, really. It goes hand in hand with having to really cultivate the mindset to explore and evolve and experiment, and to not be afraid to make those mistakes and not be afraid to fail. The more you fail, the more you learn. So this is a really good mindset for you to have, because it motivates you to take that messy, imperfect action that's really essential as you grow and scale your business. And I think when we're more connected, like when we're truly connected to our purpose and our why, and there's real intention for why we want to make money in our business, taking that imperfect, messy action, it really just comes with it, doesn't it? We can feel more at ease, because it's simply part of that journey that we're on. And sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves, or we beat ourselves up. When things don't quite go to plan, which often happens. It's part of running a business. And that brings with it, the energy that Well, if we connect more, if we really kind of like, stay there, like, oh, it's not gone as planned, or I failed, or we really kind of linger there instead of just seeing it as an opportunity to learn. Like if we linger there, then that energy stays there. Like it will ensure that things continue to not go to plan. So, I know without a doubt that the reason that we had a 200K month last month is because we, as in me and my team, are totally connected with our mission here at Digital Yoga Academy. We're connected with the message that we put out. I'm living and breathing it right now. And, when you come from that place, when you're coming from your purpose and you're really connected to that, you become magnetic. And if you're not connected to it, then you'll soon deplete. You'll know because you'll feel depleted, right? You'll feel depleted, you'll start to burn out, you won't have the energy to show up the way you really need to show up. And the flip side of that, when you are connected to your purpose and you're coming from that really connected place, the offerings that you create and the offerings that you show up to sell are more aligned. And that's how you become magnetic with the community that you're building, because you're creating from a different space. That's the energy behind it. But, I think you need to have that. That's one component, having that energy behind what you're creating, coming from that space. But also you need the strategy, right? You need to be able to have that two-way conversation with your community. And this is something that people forget about all the time. Your job as a business owner is to listen, right? Your job as a business owner is to listen to what your students need from you and to really understand, like, what are they struggling with? Like, understand what they desire, understand what's in their way right now. And when you can understand that, you can go within and come from that connected place that we've already spoke about, but you can really create something that responds directly to what they need, really responds to what's going to support them, right? Does that make sense? So, you don't want to be creating something that's out of alignment with you, but you also need to be listening to what your students need as well. And I teach this in all of my programs. Like, I teach you how to do the market research, how to talk to your ideal student, how to be in communication with them all the time, and, how to really show up and sell something that people actually want, so that you get those results. And, that's where the good messaging comes in as well. Like, if you want to make money online, if you want to make money in your business, you need to know how to message. Yeah, you can't be showing up and having a general message. Like, you need to know how to communicate the value of what you do. And the more you know who you're talking to and you know how to speak to them, you'll be able to create offerings that they're going to want, and that's actually going to activate people to buy, right? So this is part of lesson 2 is what I'm sharing right now, which is all about creating and selling offerings, having a look at your business model and understanding the numbers behind it, the financial numbers behind it, to actually make the money and to reach those stretched financial goals that you've set for yourself. One of the things that I want to mention here is that you don't need to have a big audience, right? You probably you might be you might be looking at me and thinking, well, it's okay for you to say, Kelly, you've got a big audience, right? You don't need to have a big audience, because when you do the things that I've been talking about today, and you create offerings that actually solve problems, and the messaging is good, right? You've learned how to refine your messaging, and you're really serving a need, and you know who you're serving, like you've done the work to actually understand who it is that you are, that you're speaking to. You don't need to have thousands of people there to make sales, right? I've actually done a podcast episode on this, how to sell your online course to a small audience. I think one of the biggest blocks is, people thinking, well, I need to have a bigger audience or I need to have a different audience. And you have to remember that your people are online, right? Everyone's online. Yeah, they're on the internet and the internet is already built, right? It's here, it's already here. So all you need to do is be visible, right? You need to be visible. You need to share your content and just let the algorithms do their work. Like, algorithms are not working against you, right? Drop the story that they are. That it's hard to beat, that I have to beat the algorithm. Drop that story. Like, these social platforms that we're on right now are free. And when you show up, okay, and you put certain words and you put content out there, the algorithm is showing that to people who like those words and content. And people will discover you, okay? So if you are showing up in the energy that you need to show up, that will happen, right? I promise you. It's so simple. Like, your audience, your community will grow. You just need to focus on the things that we've been talking about today, and not get caught up in, I need to grow my audience first, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. I've been there. I know I know those thoughts and feelings where you give yourself excuses, essentially, as to why things aren't working. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. It really doesn't matter. Your people are there online. You need to show up as you, right? You need to show up as you on the internet and talk about the things that your students, that your ideal students that you've identified actually need. Like, show up in your magic. Like, when you show up in your magic and you're lit up and you're full of radiance and you 100% believe in what you're sharing, how you're serving your community, and you're going for that thing and you're willing to do what it takes every day. Like, you're willing to sell, you're willing to create, you're willing to learn. You're in a room with other people doing it as well. Like, maybe you've got a mentor or a coach who's done it. Like, you're flying, you're flying, right? That's all you need to be doing. You need to be in that energy and in that space of doing those things, and remove and get rid of the excuses that are holding you back. Like, this has been a lesson for me, guys. This is why I'm sharing it right now. I'm sharing lessons right now. I'm sharing things that I've learned myself, right? There's nothing here that I haven't gone through myself. If I can do this, so can you. Like, you simply need to give yourself permission, right? Give yourself permission to be bold. Give yourself permission to be brave and to stop capping your potential with all of those fears, limiting beliefs, and resistance. To stop telling yourself that this isn't working. Because, guess what? If you keep telling yourself, well, I've tried this, I've tried that, it's not working, it's not going to work. It won't work if you keep telling yourself that. Like, every successful and profitable, thriving business owner out there has only got to that point because they have tried hundreds of things that didn't work, but they didn't let that hold them back. There is no such thing as an overnight success. So you really do have to give yourself permission, to do this, to dream big, be in your power, do all of the things that you need to do, but just to move through that resistance, because it's only holding you back and it's not going to get you to where you need to be. Moving from just believing something to knowing that this is happening, like to deciding that this is happening, is really the space that I invite you to be in. I wanted to just finally thank you, my community, because all of the hard work that I've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years, hard work on myself, like I've shared today, a lot of this is deep inner work. Being an entrepreneur it's different. It's a different ball game to being an employee, right? It's a different mindset. It requires that deep inner work and you to really face up to the shit that's holding you back. And so, doing that work and doing the strategy work, I do this for you because I'm really connected to my purpose to support you and to serve you. And so, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of my community, the Digital Yoga Academy community. We have an awesome Facebook group. And yeah, I just thank each and every one of you for being here and showing up. And yeah, that's all I have to say, really. So I hope that this has helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, guys. Send me a DM, send me a message. I am here, and I will continue to share my lessons along the way, because I feel like, if there's anything you can learn from the mistakes that I've made, it's going to help you, right? It's going to help you, and you'll make your own mistakes. That's part of it. But just keep showing up and doing the things, because you will get there, but show up in the right energy. A lot of what I've spoken about today is about energy, and it's so, so important. And it's often a part of growing and scaling a business that is forgotten and not talked about enough. So sending so much love to you. Thank you so, so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.